Number 10. Anglerfish. You have seen their glowing lure in movies, but the true nightmare of this animal does not lie in how it hunts. It lies in how they reproduce. Species belonging to the suborder Ceracioidae live below 5,000 meters. The female possesses a bioluminescent lure filled with bacteria. The male is a completely different story. His size is sometimes just 1/140th of the female, equivalent to a human man being the size of a tennis ball. The most bizarre biological trait of this creature is that the male transforms himself into a permanent parasite. When he finds a mate, the male bites tightly into the female's body and releases specific enzymes that dissolve the tissues at the contact point. The circulatory systems of both fuse into one, their blood vessels connect, and then the male begins to waste away. His eyes vanish, his fins drop off, and his brain and internal organs completely dissolve. The only thing remaining and continuing to develop is a pair of testes. He becomes a lifelong parasitic sperm sac on the female's body. Scientists have found females carrying up to 8 males simultaneously, all brainless and existing solely to provide sperm. A study from Yale University proved this horrific mechanism to allow the blood of two distinct organisms to fuse without being rejected like a failed organ transplant. This fish suborder completely discarded its adaptive immune system. Their MHC genes and T-cell receptors are entirely gone. Born to dissolve into another, this is an extreme reproductive strategy that keeps them alive in the darkest place on the planet. Number 9. Sea pig. An animal looking like a plump pink gelatinous blob, leisurely walking across the eternal mud of the ocean floor. Yet what keeps it alive in the deepest abyss is not that jelly skin, but one of the most bizarre respiratory systems in the natural world. This creature has no lungs, and lacks even the respiratory tree found in common shallow water sea cucumbers. It breathes entirely by contracting and pumping water directly through its anus, forcing water into the hydraulic chambers of its water vascular system to extract dissolved oxygen before pumping it back out. Scotoplanes globosa measures about 10 to 15 centimeters long, widely distributed at depths from 545 to 9,997 meters, ranging from abyssal plains down to the deep Philippine Trench. At a depth of nearly 10 kilometers, they must endure pressure reaching almost 1,000 atmospheres, equivalent to the weight of an entire truck compressing every single square inch of their body. To move through this ultra-pressurized fluid mud, their 5 to 7 pairs of tube feet have evolved into actual walking structures by utilizing water pressure to inflate and deflate, allowing them to step slowly instead of crawling. They gather in herds of up to 600 individuals, all facing their heads in the same direction to intercept ocean currents, harvesting fish carcasses and organic debris drifting down from shallow waters. The body of a sea pig is so fragile that surface pressure will cause them to disintegrate instantly once removed from the deep sea. Their life depends on the very pressure that crushes everything else, existing through a body system that operates completely opposite to the rest of the planet. Number 8. Supergiant amphipod. Most amphipods fit on your fingernail. This one is the length of your forearm. The reason it got this big is connected to something the deep ocean does to almost everything down there. Alicella gigantea reaches up to 34 centimeters, making it 20 times larger than its shallow water relatives. It dominates the abyssal and hadal zones from 3,890 to 8,931 meters. Pale, translucent, and segmented, it is a metabolic marvel built to scavenge rare food falls like dead whales or fish. Its most bizarre biological trait is its explosive, opportunistic feeding capacity. Living in a nutrient desert, it can expand its gut to several times its normal body volume in a single feeding session, storing enough energy to survive years of starvation between meals. A 2025 study in Royal Society Open Science modeled that this species may inhabit roughly 59% of the entire ocean floor, thriving under more than half the bottom of the planet. At nearly 9,000 meters, the freezing water slows its metabolism to a crawl, while predation pressure drops to zero, triggering deep-sea gigantism. People often confuse it with the giant isopod, but amphipods are pressed from the sides, not flattened from the top. The deep ocean's answer to extreme scarcity is to turn a microscopic bug into a 13-inch tank. It rules a dark kingdom covering over half the Earth, yet its existence remains a secret to almost everyone above. Number 7. Ostac zombie worm. In 2024, an evolutionary study in evolutionary bioinformatics confirmed a staggering fact. The zombie worm, Ostax, has been executing this bone-eating behavior for 100 million years, dating back to the era of the plesiosaur. This creature measures roughly 2 to 7 centimeters in length and inhabits depths down to 4,204 meters, under pressures reaching 400 times that of sea level. The most bizarre biological trait of Ostax is the complete disappearance of its digestive tract. It possesses no mouth, no gut, and no anus. To survive, it developed a unique biological hack. The worm's root-like base secretes acid to dissolve whale bones, allowing endosymbiotic bacteria living inside these roots to directly digest the released lipids. The Ostax worm has outsourced its entire digestive system to microbes. Even more shocking is their absurd reproductive strategy. The males are microscopic, measuring less than 1 millimeter, smaller than a grain of sand. Over 100 of these males live as permanent parasites inside the tube of a single female. They never grow, they never leave, and they exist solely for one function, providing sperm. If humans applied this ratio, hundreds of microscopic men would spend their entire lives living inside a single woman's pocket. Ostax does not attack living things, it only cleans dead skeletons. Thanks to their high-density colonization, they process massive whale skeletons in just a few months instead of centuries. Life in the deep trenches requires no sunlight, a place where extreme sexual dimorphism and eating habits have completely redefined the boundaries of modern biology. Number 6. Mariana snailfish. There is a biological limit to how deep a fish can survive, but this species is defying every law right at that boundary. Filmed at a record depth of 8,336 meters in the Izu-Ogasawara Trench in 2022, this creature is officially recognized by Guinness as the deepest fish ever discovered, breaking the previous record by 158 meters. Their bodies are about 30 centimeters long, tadpole-shaped, completely translucent, and have skin so thin that you can clearly see the liver and internal organs inside. They have no hard bones, replacing them with cartilage, and their eyes are degenerated to near blindness, because the surroundings are just eternal darkness. The most unique biological anomaly of this species lies in the secret chemical weapon that helps them withstand a crushing pressure equivalent to a small car pressing on every square inch of their body. At pressures exceeding 800 atmospheres, the proteins of any normal animal would unfold and collapse. However, the Mariana snailfish has evolved to possess extremely high concentrations of a molecule called TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide. This is a true biological hacker, acting as a molecular anchor that holds cell membranes together and protects protein structures from being crushed under thousands of tons of pressure. However, scientists believe that 8,300 meters is the absolute limit for fish, because any deeper, the TMAO concentration would have to increase too much, making cells too rigid to function. This creature itself is proof that life always finds a way to operate, even in places where mathematics says it cannot exist. Number 5. Dumbo octopus. Its scientific name is Grimpoteuthis, and this is the creature with access to 99% of every ocean floor on Earth. It can live at a record depth of 6,957 meters in the Java Trench, where the pressure hits 700 atmospheres, 700 times what you feel at sea level. The way it survives and hunts shatters every conventional rule about octopuses. The most bizarre biological trait of Grimpoteuthis is its evolutionary adaptation to eliminate wasted energy. While other octopuses move via jet propulsion and hide in rocky crevices, the Dumbo simply drifts in open water. It navigates by flapping a pair of large fins on its head that look exactly like cartoon elephant ears. This mechanism uses a fraction of the energy compared to expelling water, making it a master of efficiency where food is extremely scarce. The anomaly does not stop there. Evolution completely stripped the ink sac of Grimpoteuthis because in these pitch-black depths an inky smokescreen is useless. When catching prey, it does not use tentacles to tear flesh or a sharp beak to shred. This creature swallows its meals entirely whole. In reality, Dumbo is not a single animal, but a collective name for 18 different species within the genus Grimpoteuthis. Although some species can live as shallow as 100 meters, most are solitary dwellers of the abyss. A creature with no defensive ink, no tearing beak, just floating and flapping its ears where the pressure can crush bone. Its existence proves that when resources approach zero, biological efficiency is the ultimate key to survival. Number 4. Hirundellea gigas. At a depth of 10,994 in the Challenger Deep of the Mariana Trench, the pressure reaches nearly 1,100 atmospheres, equivalent to the weight of 50 jumbo jets pressing down on every single square inch of a body. This tiny amphipod crustacean measures only 2 to 5 centimeters in length and weighs about 0.3 to 0.6 grams in dry mass, yet it possesses some of the most bizarre biological adaptations to turn this dark, nutrient-deprived desert into its home. The most distinct biological anomalies of Hirundellea gigas lie within its digestive system and its unique protective coating. In an oligotrophic environment with extreme food scarcity, where other species must wait indefinitely for animal carcasses, Hirundellea gigas evolved a specialized cellulase enzyme named Hg-cell, belonging to the glycosyl hydrolase 31 family. This enzyme allows them to directly decompose sunken wood that drifted down from land to extract glucose for energy, with measured glucose content averaging 0.4% of their dry body weight. Even more astonishing, scientists discovered that their bodies accumulate extremely high levels of bromine in the gastric mesenchyma to harden these tissues. Concurrently, they secrete a unique gluconic acid to dissolve metal ions from seabed sediments, turning them into an aluminum hydroxide gel layer that coats their exoskeleton. This aluminum gel armor prevents the dissolution of calcium carbonate below the carbonate compensation depth, protecting structural proteins from unfolding and collapse under the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. By directly consuming wood and synthesizing its own chemical armor, Hirundellea gigas marks the absolute survival boundary of complex life. Number 3. Mirabestia mazie. In March 2026, scientific analysis of samples from the abyssal Pacific didn't just reveal a new species. It forced the creation of a new superfamily, a taxonomic rank usually reserved for vast ancient lineages. Mirabestia mazie, found at 4,000 meters in the Clarion-Clipperton Zone (CCZ), is an evolutionary isolate that shattered established classification rules. Its key anomaly is a unique conical mouthpart structure, a shape and complexity never observed in any of the thousands of known amphipod species. This single alien structure, presumably an adaptation for specialized predation or fluid feeding in an ultra-low nutrient environment, defied all existing functional models. Furthermore, its thoracic legs are radically different from standard amphipod forms, lacking the typical differentiated walking and grasping appendages. Instead, they'd extreme elongation and specialized joints, potentially for sensitive substrate exploration or even suspension feeding in the near-bottom current. Despite being less than 1 centimeter long, this tiny transparent organism presents a biological blueprint that scientists describe as entirely novel, not simply a variant. Found amidst a haul of 24 new species from a single expedition to a region where 90% of organisms remain unstudied, Mazie is a stark reminder that we know almost nothing about the deepest 60% of our planet. Named after Dr. Tammy Horton's daughter, this definitive new branch on the tree of life now faces its first threat. The CCZ is the world's primary target for deep-sea mining. We found a unique evolutionary masterpiece in 2026, just as its only known habitat was scheduled for potential destruction. Number 2. Chemosynthetic tubeworms. In 2025, a publication in the journal Nature shattered the core boundaries of advanced life. At a staggering depth of 9,533 meters within the Kuril-Kamchatka and Aleutian trenches, scientists discovered the deepest complex ecosystem on Earth, dominated by Siboglinidae tubeworms. These are not single-celled bacteria, but complex multicellular animals thriving at an incredible density of 5,800 individuals per square meter, stretching across a trench floor spanning 2,500 kilometers. The ultimate biological anomaly that turns this creature into an evolutionary outlier is that it completely lacks a mouth, a gut, and any form of digestive tract. Its digestive system has been entirely erased to make way for a specialized organ called a trophosome. This organ occupies most of its body cavity, housing billions of symbiotic bacteria dedicated solely to chemosynthesis. They are entirely disconnected from the sunlit world above. No photosynthesis, no reliance on the scorching heat of hydrothermal vents. Instead, they thrive at cold seeps, where toxic hydrogen sulfide and Matu dollars ooze from tectonic fault cracks under a crushing pressure exceeding 950 atmospheres. Facing pressures that would instantly unfold ordinary proteins, these worms outsource their survival to microbes to synthesize energy from pure poison. Their existence is undeniable proof that life can construct an isolated empire without ever relying on the surface food chain. Number 1. Vampire squid. Its scientific name is Vampiroteuthis infernalis, which translates to vampire squid from hell, living at depths between 600 and 3,000 meters in the oxygen minimum zone, OMZ, where dissolved oxygen drops sharply to just about 3%. It faces brutal pressures ranging from 60 to 300 atmospheres. This environment is so suffocating that other organisms would perish instantly. But the vampire squid survives through an extreme biological strategy, minimizing life itself. It possesses the lowest mass-specific metabolic rate of any deep-sea cephalopod ever recorded. The most bizarre biological trait of this creature lies in its unique garbage trap. Contrary to its menacing name, this 30 centimeters long animal does not hunt at all. It is the only known cephalopod that feeds on marine snow, a mix of organic debris packed with decomposing zooplankton feces drifting down from the upper layers. Instead of predatory tentacles, it deploys two sensory filaments that extend up to 8 times its body length to collect stuck particles, wraps them into food pellets using mucus, and guides them into its mouth. To survive, its body structure is an evolutionary masterpiece. It has the largest blue eyes in the animal kingdom relative to its body size. When threatened, instead of ejecting useless ink in the pitch black, it flips its dark, light organ-covered webbed cape inside out to envelop its entire body. The classic pineapple posture. The vampire squid is neither a true squid nor an octopus. It is the sole living representative of the order Vampiromorpha, an independent lineage that has resiliently endured for 250 million years.